So as you can see, I have the attacker tier list for Siege X, the new season. We're just going to go straight into it and go top down. First of all, let's go over Striker. I think Striker's an A tier pick. You can get a wall open by yourself. You can clear a shield by yourself. You can counter a clash by yourself, which if you watch my defender tier list, you know she's like S tier right now. So the fact that you can counter this with Striker, very, very good in my opinion. Glaz, I think, is situational. If you know they're running Warden, or you're doing like a Ying push, he's good. But beyond that, I don't think there's much use for him in like solo queue ranked. Fuse, I'll put in C tier. I think he's good if you can get value out of him, but most of the time you can't because you have to roam clear. People can just shoot your Fuse charges when you put them on anything before they can even throw out the grenades. But I think there's some uses where he might be okay, but I think bringing Ram is going to net you a lot more than bringing Fuse ever really could. IQ situational, you're really only going to play her if they're bringing like Pulse, Vigil, Valkyrie, Echo, and that's about it. Twitch, I think, is pretty good. You can bring her whenever. If you want to bring her DMR, you can just counter a zombie with your DMR and get all the default cams, get all the utility, bring smokes for a plant. Very good operator, in my opinion. However, I think the other two droning attackers, like Flores and Brava, are situational. You're only going to bring a Flores if you have to destroy bulletproof utility, and you're only going to bring a Brava if you're going to hack bulletproof utility. If there's no utility for you to use with these two operators, they're pretty much useless, right? So they're pretty situational. Next up, let's go over the shields. They did nerf shields a little bit by making it to where you couldn't ADS when you vaulted over stuff. That's pretty much it, though. So I still think that these shield operators sit high in S tier in the meta. If you're a good shield player, you will single-handedly win your team round, in my opinion. Blackbeard also got his own nerf where his window's more tinted, so you can see if he's ADS or not ADS a lot easier. You can also hear it a lot easier now after the nerf. I still think he's S tier, probably the best shield in the game. Hi, Madison. Next, let's go over the Breachers. I think Thermite situational. I think Hibana situational. I think Maverick. Where's Maverick? Maverick is situational. These operators are good depending on what walls you're getting open. If you're on Basement of Bank and you need 4 hatches open, Thermite sucks, but Hibana's great. If you go CC on Clubhouse, Thermite's great, Hibana sucks, right? Pretty situational. The only hard breacher that's not situational is, of course, Ace. Ace is great. The best breacher in the game, the most versatile breacher in the game. Not the best, but the most versatile for sure with a great weapon. Next up, let's go over Ashe. I think Ashe is great. You can counter Mirror, you can counter Maestro, you can counter any utility that you want to. You have an R4C with an ACOG and a 3-speed. Great attacker all around, in my opinion. Thatcher, situational for the same reason as Maverick. You're only going to need him like 1 in every 20 attack rounds. Sledge, I want to say... Now that he's not a 3 armor, honestly, you could bring Sledge like every round and be fine. He can also counter Clash, but I think with how people are playing Clash, which is not holding her shield, you're not going to counter Clash a lot with Sledge, in my opinion, especially when you can just vault through the shield, right? So I think B tier is where I'll put him. Great operator, don't get me wrong. Just not quite the caliber of like Ace and Ashe, right? Buck is, though. I think the fact that he can do everything that Sledge can and more and bring flashes is great. Capitao, situational. For obvious reasons, he's like the most situational op in the game. Jackal did just get changed. I've only played him for a little bit. I can't tell if it's a nerf or a buff, quite honestly. From what I've gathered, I think it's a nerf. He does have more scans, but it's only 1 ping. He is able to see footsteps that are older, but here's the thing. Defenders don't leave footprints whenever they're in the prep phase. Which means a lot of times roamers will not leave footprints if they're just not running around after the prep phase, right? So I think because Deimos exists as well, Jackal just isn't that good. So honestly, I'm going to put him in B tier. I don't know why anyone's banning Jackal over Deimos. Deimos is just a better version of him, in my opinion. I think he's become more of an information operator than he has a roam clear operator, and we might start to see that, but who knows. I don't think we will, though, because Dokkaebi exists. Dokkaebi's S tier. I mean, I've explained it in every tier list. She's just way too versatile. If they nerfed her tomorrow, I think everybody would be happy. Deimos, I think, is A. Not quite as versatile as Dokkaebi, and he does take skill to be good like with his pistol and stuff, but a great roam clear, probably the best roam clear in the entire game. Ying, A tier. You could argue S2. Meta operator right now for sure. You're seeing in Pro League, people are using her shotgun because it one-taps people now. The LMG is great. The smokes are great. 4 Ying Candelas is great. Great operator all around. Zofia, I feel like is B tier. Kind of the same as like Sledge and Jackal, where there's other operators that do what they do, but like better or more. Plus she's a 3 armor. Don't get me wrong. Any operator I put in B tier is a great operator, just not quite as good as like Ace or Deimos. You know what I mean? Bandit, Cade, and oh wait, no. Those are defenders. Did I do any other defenders? Hold on. No, I didn't. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Your opinions are ass. That's why you're subbing to me, pussy. Thanks for the money. Finka, C tier. Not that good. You can self-res. No, I'll put her B. I'll put her B. I'll put her B. Good gun. Self-res, flashes, heals. B tier. Lion, same thing. Okay operator. In tandem with like Deimos, our roam clearing is pretty nice, but not as good as like Ace or Deimos in my opinion. Nomad, I'd say... Man, I have mixed opinions on Nomad every time I rank her. Sometimes I rank her low because she's bad for flank watch. Sometimes I rank her high because she's versatile. Sometimes I rank her situational for jump outs. I think she's A tier. She's a good operator. You can use her for flanks if it's on a doorway and you know how to place it correctly. You can use her for runouts. You just can't use it on staircases. Gridlock is much better on staircases for flanks, but she brings ARX, she brings flashes. I would be, I think, a little biased if I put her anything other than A tier or situational, in my opinion. Gridlock, A tier, same reason. Best flank watch operator in the game, in my opinion. Nook, situational. Like, there's a few places where people rely on default cameras to know if you're there. I think Garage of Bank is a really good example. If you don't shoot that camera and you just sneak past it, and you sneak past the BP that's typically in the basement, you'll usually get free rounds on Nook. But aside from that, not really much use. Amaru... F. Probably one of the worst attackers in the game. Now that you can hot breach with any operator pretty much ever, she doesn't really have that much of a use. Callie, C tier. Just bring EMP grenades and the better operator with an easier to use gun, I think. And that you just have a better time. Yana, I want to put B tier. Okay operator. There's just better operators to play than Ayana for information, like Dokkaebi, Deimos, whatever. Zero, same thing. Usually just better operators to play. Not a bad operator, usually just better ones to play, though. Osa, I think, is... I want to say C or B tier. The fact that everybody's bringing impact grenades now just completely, like, hard counters this operator, right? So I want to put her in C tier. Sens, situational. In, like, pro play and in competitive, Sens is, like, S tier. But in ranked, you don't have the coordination, you don't have the lineups, you don't have the timing. So I'll put her in situational. There are just times where you can use Sens, and there are times where you can't. Not much to be said. Defender. Okay. Grim, A tier. Great attacker. So much util, so much information. Great loadout, in my opinion. Easy to use gadget compared to what they once were. Great operator, in my opinion. Nothing more I can really say. Ram, situational. Only going to use her if you can go above a bomb site. On the top floor bomb site, she's pretty useless. And then for the final attacker on this list, let me make sure. These are all defenders. Yeah, okay. And for the final attacker on this list, the newest attacker in the game, Raura. I think pretty much it's the same thing as Sens, where they're both site execute operators, right? You use their utility on site or to like take a specific room near the site to gain control. And you're only going to do that if you're coordinated, if you have the information, if you're good at the operator, if you have lineups or a strategy in mind. And that makes them inherently situational operators. But let me know what you thought you disagreed with in the comments. Let me know what you think of Siege X so far. If you've played the test server, follow the Twitch, and then check out this next YouTube video.